yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, mamas and papas, uncles and aunties, granddads and grandmamas. What's up? It's the African Fighters Podcast. I'm your host, Jabril from the African Fighters. And today, it's supposed to be three of us, but the third person is still stuck on the web trying to get connected, which obviously, it's Toby as usual. But without any further ado, I'm not going to be wasting time waiting for Toby and his Nigerian internet. We are going to go straight into it. Today we are going to be doing something exciting. An idea by Christopher Graham. Shout out Christopher Graham. We are going to be giving our bold predictions of 2024. We tried to get it to 20 bold predictions, but we probably would do above 20 bold predictions, and some predictions will contradict some, but we don't care. But regardless, ladies and gentlemen, today with me from London, England, is the host of the King Dems podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Ademola King Dems. What's up, Dems?
I'm good. I'm all right. I can't complain, my brother. How are you doing today?
Yes, Omo, we thank God, we thank God. If you are joining us, thank you for tuning in. Yes, we are in audio form as well. If you would wanna listen to us in audio form, wherever you get your podcast from, please feel free to do that. Yeah. So without any further ado, again, as I said, we are going to get into it. All right, guys. Boom. Bold predictions of 2024. This is where we are going to go a bit crazy, right? We are going to just talk about things that would likely happen, and then by the end of the year or whenever it happens, we are going to come here and be like, we said it was going to happen.
I said it that it happened.
Yes. Sometimes we get away with when something slightly, just like, well, maybe we predicted something to happen and it kind of happened just a bit, maybe slightly happened. We are still going to come here and be like, I said it, even though it did not happen in a full. Here we go. Here is Toby. Hopefully we can hear Toby this time. And Toby, can you please be in the center of your camera, please? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
How are you, Toby?
I'm good. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, we did hear you. We did hear you. We did hear you.
Okay.
All right. So Toby's got 10 predictions. Demola got 10 predictions, hopefully. And because I don't want us to waste time, I have 5 predictions, bold predictions of the things that would happen in 2024. And here's the rule. Another rule is, let's say for any reason I say your prediction that you already had in your list, you are just going to repeat it just to make sure that you also said it. So in the future, when we are having our bragging rights, we can be like, yes, we said it together.
Okay.
All right. My first prediction, ladies and gentlemen, UFC 300 in April. UFC 300 in April is going to be in the Sunbet Arena in Pretoria, South Africa. Dricus du Plessis defending his middleweight title against Israel, the last stylebender, Adesanya. What do you guys think?
Wow, that is audacious. that is beyond bold. That is bold italics, bro. UFC 300. I don't know. In Africa, that's a lot to digest. That's bold italics, man. I'm not sure.
What do you think, Toby?
You're on your own on that level.
I actually think Dricus will beat Strickland, and I think the UFC are going to do easy versus Dricus. But I think that would happen. But what might not happen is the UFC Africa in Pretoria, South Africa. Regardless, I'm still going to leave it out there. UFC Africa is going to be in Pretoria, South Africa for UFC 300, a marquee event, Israel versus Dricus. All right. The next one.
The next that is against that.
Okay. The next one, Toby, you give us one of yours.
All right, number one, I had UFC Africa happening next year, but since you kind of already hinted to that, my next one was that Usman will retire next year.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. So
yeah.
you guys heard it. Toby
Hey,
thinks that Usman is going to retire next year. So, sorry, let me switch off
Start to see him
Alexa.
leave.
Alexa is talking. So, yes, I do see this happening. I think Usman is at that point now where his body is giving up. I think when he fought Khamzat Chimaev, he wouldn't have suffered those takedowns if not for his bad knees. I think he's realizing now, and at this point, he's trying to get all the big fights he can get, so he can cash his checks before he leaves. That's what I think. But he can actually leave in this next year. But if he wins his next fight, he's probably gonna stick around longer. But if he loses, he's probably gonna be like, okay, that's it. He doesn't want to be like maybe Tony Ferguson. But that's me. What do you think? What do you think, King Dems?
interesting. I think I have something relating to that on my board predictions, right?
Mm,
Regarding Usman. Let me go. Let me see where this is at. Whew. Okay, that's number 6 on my board predictions. I said
mhm.
Usman regains the welterweight title,
Huh?
retires, and Bilal Muhammad ends the year as a champion. Yeah, that's
What?
number 6. Uh, how bold is that?
Can you give us a
How?
timeline,
How?
or can you give us
How?
a
How did it
story?
happen?
How is it going to happen?
How is it gonna happen, right? Okay, so Colby Covington beats Leon Edwards, right?
Mm-hmm,
Leon does not get an immediate rematch, and because of the Colby Usman rivalry, the
mm-hmm,
UFC will book Colby versus Usman 3,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
Usman wins that title and then rides into the sunset. He doesn't defend it, and then Bilal Mohammed comes into the mix against either most likely Leon again, and then he beats Leon. Allow Leon
Bilal
to
beats Leon.
yes.
Bilal no fit beat Leon. No. Bilal
We'll
no fit
see.
beat
We'll see
Leon.
about we'll see.
Crazy,
The
man.
same.
We saw when they fought the last time
The
they
same
fought,
way.
and we saw.
It's the same way we thought Bella would not be Burns, right? And we saw what happened. So we are in for a
Okay.
rude awakening in 2024.
All right. All right. Good one. Good one. Um, I'm going to well, since we are sticking on retirement, I'm going to go with this one because I had one that says Usman is going to win a fight in 2024. But since we are talking about retirement, I'm going to say Jon Jones retires next year.
Why?
That is on my list as well.
Why?
I
That is
think
on my list
I
as
think
well.
one of the biggest things that Jon Jones is scared about is the rest of the pack catching up to him. And I feel like he was that's why he left the light heavyweight division, because those guys started catching up to him. We saw how all his fights, his later fights started getting closer and closer and closer, not as decisive as they were. Moved up a weight class, and he's like looking good. He looked good against Cyril Gane. Maybe he might be afraid that his record is gonna go, and he's probably just gonna call it off. And nobody in this life would ever be like, "Ha! I saw Jon Jones lose a fight." Maybe just sort of like that send for that Khabib has. That's what I'm thinking would probably happen. But Toby, why you think say is not possible?
Not that I don't think it's possible, but I'm like, for Jon Jones to remain in the UFC, he probably just has to fight once next year. And that's it. He doesn't really have to retire. Like, if he doesn't give you the fight, there's nothing you can do about it. So I'm like, he can fight once and then post everybody to 2025. It's that simple
Fair,
for him.
fair. That's actually realistic too. That's quite realistic too. All right, Dems, you want to pick one from yours?
Okay, so I have one. That's the number one on my list actually. It says John Jones and Stipe Miocic both retire in 2024.
Mhm.
And drum roll, Alex Pereira of Brazil becomes the first 3 weight division champion by
Hey,
going up to heavyweight. You heard it from
you know
me.
what's funny? You know what's funny? When I saw Pereira versus Prohaska, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, this guy is a heavyweight. He looks way, way bigger than Prohaska. How was this guy making middleweight? Right? And I think he can actually go up. It's just that I'm not sure if his chin can survive the heavyweights, but it's
Wait and
something
see.
that I think he can do. And his coach, who is Globo Teixeira, did say that he's going to be heavyweight champion too. So it's something to look at. I'm not sure if it happens in 2024 because of how the title picture is. Heavyweights are notorious for fighting once a year. So I'm not sure if it's going to align well for him to jump in there and be like, I deserve a title shot. But um, yeah, I see this could happen maybe 2025. Toby, what do you think?
So I'm not sure about how his wrestling is going to hold up in the heavyweight division against the really, really big guys.
Do they even
That's
wrestle? Do they even wrestle? Who wrestles?
if he goes up against Jon Jones, Jon Jones will wrestle, isn't it?
What?
No, Jon Jones is only going to fight Stipe and leave. That is the assumption.
Well, let's assume Stipe, because we are looking at something else now. We've forgotten about that Stipe bold prediction. Now we're talking about this guy. So like Jones, we know that Jones always like to attack your strength instead of your weakness. Although against Sirogan, he attacked Sirogan's weakness. But if Jones wrestles Glover, I think Glover has a bit of grappling to survive. Can Jones survive the stand up? It's gonna
Of
be
who?
interesting. I feel like, man. Okay, how about Alex Pereira versus Tom Aspinall?
Alex Pereira,
I think
knocks
Alex
Thomas
Pereira wins
Pereira
that fight. I think he wins that fight.
by
What?
knockout.
I think he beats
Yeah,
Thomas
the
Pereira.
left hook comes up again.
So
Okay, okay.
he's
Let's
as
let's
clean a striker as any other person in that division. So I feel like your best bet is to wrestle him without getting caught. Well, yeah, that's not as easy as it is to say.
all right, Toby, pull one up from yours real quick.
Let me see. There's some pretty interesting things here. Yes, the hype train Mark Home joins the UFC next year, welterweight
I
division.
think I think Mark Home, you Toby, you have a very good interest in it because Toby made a video about it about Malcolm joining the UFC. In case you want to know, you could check our videos here on YouTube. Um,
It's the way you always
I
throw me
think,
under the bus and say Toby made the video so that if they want to attack, they know who to attack.
but wait, um, Mark Home, I think his record is 10-3. I'm not sure if that includes his last win, but I feel like those guys at CIT, whoever is their manager, has a very good relationship with Sean Shelby, and I think he can easily just make it into the Dana White Contender Series. Now, is that something he wants to do, Mark Home, or is that something, because being in Dana White Contender Series doesn't guarantee that you will be signed? But is that a route he would want to go? Does he feel like he's bigger than that? I don't know, but I think it's just a matter of time. I remember when he won the welterweight title earlier this year. The first thing he said was he started campaigning for being in the UFC. When Dricus is making his rounds and Cameron Simon, they always mention his name when they're doing their media rounds in the US. You could tell that the engine behind their promo down there in CIT and EFC, they are pushing for this to move to happen. But I'm not sure if he's going to go through the route of Dana White Contender Series. But if he does, it's probably a risky one because he has to look very good that week, and it depends on the other fighters that fought that week and the performances for him to get signed. So I think the UFC will sign him regardless, direct contract or through Dana White Contender Series. It doesn't matter. I think he's gonna end up there. But
I feel like if they do a UFC Africa card, he kind of automatically gets on it. So,
well, yeah, fair,
somehow,
Yeah.
some
fair,
way.
To be
yeah,
fair, that's that sounds like it. But then I
yeah.
think I feel like he's actually bigger than the White Contender Series. To be honest, like he
Easy.
shouldn't be on that show. Yeah,
If
sort of.
he
The
Well,
UFC, the UFC is big.
Cameron
Yeah.
Simon, was a champion. Multiple champions go through Dana White Contender Series. To be
yeah,
honest, if he was like a knockout artist, right, a flashy knockout artist, then maybe, because when you look at his victories, mostly are submissions, and he took a long hiatus in a couple of years. I think not a couple of years, but it took a long time off before he came back and won the title. Maybe his style is not something that the UFC will be like, jump in here. You're not bigger than the Contender Series, because they'll probably want to put him in the Contender Series and see if he can be exciting. Because that's one thing that they could do. They use the Contender Series for, is to sign exciting fighters, but not smart fighters. You understand? So, yeah. And for Macomb, he's a smart fighter, and that's not what casual fans that watch Dana White Contender Series want. They want like flashy knockout artists. So, I don't think it's bigger than Dana White Contender Series, but yeah. All right, I'll go next. My next prediction is that we would have 3 UFC events in the UK this year, next year. This year, I believe we had 2. We had a fight night and we had a pay-per-view. Or did we have 3 this year?
2.
We had 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this year the market is getting bigger and bigger. We are going to be having 3 UFC events in here. All right. We got someone in the chat here. African. He says Alex Pereira does not beat anyone in the top 10 in the heavyweights.
We can only wait and see.
Well, is that your African? Is that your bold prediction? Because right now we are just under assumptions on this show. So is this your bold prediction? Okay. For some weird reasons, I believe in Pereira too much, and he has fought heavyweights when he was doing his kickboxing with Glory. Okay, I'll go next. Oh yes, I did say 3 UFC events in the UK. Do you guys think it's going to happen?
I think that's a strong possibility.
I feel like the UK can get 2 fight nights and 1 pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's a very strong possibility,
Because the UFC is already pretty much booked up until March.
Yeah, you have 2 champions now. Yeah, and
2.
you have yes.
Who is the second champion? Who is the champion?
Tom Aspinall and
Leon
Edwards. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I keep on forgetting about Leon. You see, he came out recently and said he wants to go for the middleweight title. Like, shut up! What do you want? What do you want that?
The same way this guy was calling for a title shot. This guy that lost last night. What's his name? That
Which
lost
one?
to
Oh, Roundtree. Yeah.
What's the guy he beat?
He beat Anthony Smith.
Anthony Smith. Yeah. He was already, getting ahead of himself, saying when he beats Khalil Roundtree, that he would like to fight, Alex Herrera for the title. I was like, wow, really? Beat the guy in front of you first before you start making bold claims. Same thing.
Yeah,
same thing with Leon. Beat the guy in front of you first before you start making those claims.
Toby, go next.
Okay. Disclaimer: nobody should come for me, please. Anthony Joshua gets KO'd by Deontay Wilder next year.
Yeah, I don't like the sound of that. I do not like the sound of that. So I'm out. Count me out, please. I'm out.
Is it possible? I think Farouk would love to be here. Is it possible? I think. Well,
I like
anybody that fights Wilder
but I just
wait. No. Anybody that fights Wilder can get knocked out. But I think because of his recent performances, people are underestimating his actual boxing skill, and I feel like he can avoid being hit by Wilder, who a lot of people have criticized to be a one-trick pony. I think if he fights Wilder, it's going to be a decision, and Anthony Joshua takes it. I don't see Wilder knocking out Anthony Joshua. That's my own.
I
I know.
mean,
I know.
it's a
Agree.
one it's a one trick pony, but only one person has managed to get past him. Like,
Or how many
I
people,
mean,
credible people, has he fought? He hasn't fought in anybody. Bro, I see English. He never fight anybody.
Pardon
Deontay Wilder has
record.
not for anybody.
Yeah, he's fought,
Okay,
he's
we'll
fought
see,
a
we'll
couple
see,
of guys, right?
we'll see.
But then like that record
It's
is
for
highly
guys, man.
padded with tomato cans, you know. And that's the thing with boxing.
Which
Exactly.
boxer's record is not padded? All of them, all their records are padded, but
Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua
Joshua's record is not. Yeah.
has the best record in the heavyweight. He has never fought an MMA fighter and got knocked down before. But that is a conversation for another day.
Shots
okay,
fired. Shots
Dems, you
fired.
go next.
okay.
Dems, you go next.
Okay, let me see what I have on my list. Okay. Whew. Number 2, wait for it. Hamza Chimaev loses his first UFC fight to Dricus du Plessis.
You even put the person that he's going to lose against, because I feel like for you to be safe with your prediction is for you to say Chimaev loses his first fight in the UFC, but you went ahead and even stamp
To
it
du
with the name of the
Plessis.
person.
Yeah, du Plessis gets the title right from Strickland, and then Chimaev is next in line. And Chimaev loses
So
to du Plessis.
du Plessis gets
Wait,
the title
but
from
if we
wait.
match that with your previous,
Du Plessis takes the title from Strickland and then beats Adesanya and then fights Chimaev.
Fights
No.
Chimaev.
I decided
Beats
comes back
Chimaev.
in the towards the end of the year to regain his title.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So remember,
So
du Plessis
Dricus fights 3 times next year.
Yes, 3 times next year.
Wait, no, he can't fight 3 times. Oh yes, because he's fighting in January. Then there will be time.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. My own prediction next year. This year we saw a few double champ title fights where someone, well, it's not a few, it's Volkanovski and Islam, and a lot of fighters have been talking about doing title versus title, or basically doing looking for double champ status. I think in 2024 nobody is going to go and fight. No champion will go into any division to fight for a title. I don't think the UFC would book that next year. Do you agree?
Like, I feel like you need to tell us why. Like, what's your thought process? Why?
I feel like it has been abused a lot. Every champion is talking about going up to fight. Even the heavyweight champions are talking about going to fight in super heavyweight. I'm joking, but every champion is talking about, because look at Leon Edwards saying he wants a middleweight belt. Look at Islam. Islam says he wants to fight Colby. Well, I don't know why they keep on overlooking Leon Edwards. Who is there? Volkanovski has gotten 2 chances. He couldn't do it. The person before Volkanovski, who is that? Sean O'Malley,
Easy.
right? Yes, Sean O'Malley.
Easy.
Okay, do you mean the bantamweight champion, right?
Yeah.
That's
So like,
Aljo.
just under featherweight. Yeah, Sean O'Malley is the current bantamweight champion of the world.
So who is the middleweight champion now? Nobody wants to go and fight Pereira, but anyways, everybody has been talking. People a lot have been talking about fighting above their champions. Have been talking about fighting above their weight class to get double champ status, and even we're even seeing Pereira looking to get a triple champ status. But I don't think the UFC will allow any of that to happen because it's getting a bit abused too much. One thing that Dana White has been consistently talking about is he doesn't want the sport to look like boxing where there are like a million belts by one person. So I think they will kind of like pull fighters back to their divisions and make sure that every division has a crowning champion. And to be honest, I don't see, it's only Volkanovski that can successfully say that I've run through my division. There's nothing else for me to do. I have to go up. There's nobody else that can say that. But regardless, I don't see 2024 being a year where we are going to see that.
Yeah, typically you need to earn the right to call for a double champ status, you know. If you've not earned the right, the UFC typically will not book you for that fight. So everything has to align. You need to have run through your division, and
Yeah.
you.
Tumboson, can you please clarify what you mean by gotta make a check? Yeah, so I'll get Demola to go next.
Okay, so let me see what is on my list. So number 3 on my list, right? The first UFC event on African soil. And mind you, not UFC Africa. That is the first UFC event on African soil will be held in Morocco. You heard it from me.
You know what's funny? I actually have one in my list, but I put Egypt there. So
The
it's
Morocco
close enough.
is.
I said
I have
UFC
got there
Africa
to confirm.
2024. Yeah. I said
I have
UFC
got there to
Africa.
confirm, bro.
Yeah. I said UFC Africa is gonna be in Egypt. But I know that Demola just got back from a holiday in Morocco recently. I don't
Yeah,
know
I have
whether now the
confirmed.
Morocco Blues now they make you say UFC
Don't
Africa will happen in
worry.
Morocco.
Don't worry. I have confirmed it. I have confirmed it.
Okay.
You will hear
But
I said
I think the Northern Arabs will might likely get a UFC event, but it probably wouldn't be labeled as UFC Africa because it's going to be an Arabia thing with the new influence of the Middle East in this whole sport, in this whole MMA space. So yeah, I have one to checkmate your own, which is in Egypt. You said in Morocco. All right, we move next
we will see.
to Toby. Toby, you got one for us?
Yeah. Sit back and relax. Let me cook. All right. PFL is going to throw up a card that will rival the UFC. That card is going to have Ngannou on it. That card is going to have what's the name of this YouTube guy?
Jake
That guy
Paul.
that they signed,
Jake
Jake
Paul.
Paul,
Jake Paul. Mm-hmm.
fighting I don't know who, and they are going to book Cedric Doumbé versus MVP on that card, and they're going to pump a lot of money into it. And we're finally going to see PFL rival the UFC like properly next year. That's my bold prediction.
Wow, great
Well,
one, great one. I have something similar to that. Well, kudos for that one. But speaking of MVP, real quick, right? Sorry, guys. Speaking of MVP, right? I was actually expecting the UFC to sign MVP. Do you guys think the UFC fumbled on that one?
well,
I don't
I
know.
don't think PFL has officially signed MVP yet. I think he's playing his hand right now. He's trying to get the highest bidder to bid because he's just flirting with PFL at this moment because there haven't been any official announcement. So what happened in PFL Ireland last week, or was it this weekend? Where he was in the cage with Dumbe. It's just something to push the hands of the UFC so they can open their bags. I think he's going to end up going to the UFC unless the PFL actually want to sign him, because if they do, then the bag for PFL is bigger. But everybody knows that MVP is not a what I don't how do I say this with being nice? Uh he's not a UFC champion material because he's gonna get his ass handed to him in the UFC. Um,
Is
so
that due to the age
if
factor?
maybe I think a bit of it. I think if he comes, he's just going to be like a star attraction, just like how Michael Chandler is. We know that his fights are never boring, win or lose. I think that's what's going to be with MVP. But I don't think he's signed with the PFL yet. But if the PFL actually want to sign him, he's probably going to sign with them because he understands where the money is at the moment, and well, he's getting old too. Yes, let me just take a look here. Can somebody please explain to me what Tumbosun is talking about here? He says, okay, for the audio listeners, he says, being champion isn't enough of a payday. It takes multiple defenses and real brand recognition for the company to put some real value on you. Getting double champ status help with all of that. It does help, but someone like Leon Edwards, it doesn't help. To be fair, someone like Kamaru Usman too, double champ status doesn't really help. It's just only going to make MMA, diehard MMA fans respect the heck out of him the more, because the casual fans have already put in their head categorized you somewhere. You understand? And the money is made from the casual fans. That's my opinion. But what do you guys think?
In a way, it does help, improve your brand, your recognition. Really, I see the argument and that. So, for example, I'll give you an example. Look at this guy, King of Cringe. What's his name? Former bantamweight champion.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name?
Harry Sohudo.
Aljo.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Cejudo,
No,
yeah.
Harry Segudo, right? See how highly underrated he used to be when he was just flyweight champion. But then when he moved up, beat TJ and became double champ, they put more respect in his name, and he's highly touted as the man that saved the flyweight division. So, regardless, like if you become
I think.
double champ, right, it puts
Mm-hmm.
some respect on your name. To be very honest, and it makes people see you
I
differently.
think I think Cejudo did not get any respect from the company itself, because remember in the pandemic when he was trying to negotiate some more money and they were not budging, he decided to threaten like he's leaving, and Dana White was like, "Yeah, go." He said, "I'm retiring, leaving his gloves, blah 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 blah. I've done this," and Dana White said, "Yeah, sure, you can go." And in the press conference, Dana White says, "I've told you guys before, in this business, if a fighter says he wanna go, he's gonna go." But then we know what happened when Khabib said he was going. Dana White was literally kissing his ass. He was following him everywhere. He did not let him go. So when Dana White likes you, understands that you bring value to his
Uh,
business, he's going
Khabib
to
is an
look at how
exception.
they were trying to convince Francis Ngannou to sign. They were trying. They didn't let him go because they know the value that he brings. So I feel Henry Cejudo was never respected. Even when he got his double champ status, he was sort of more
You say on the side of the
recognized, but
fans, on the side of the fans, not
mm,
on the side of the UFC
but
itself.
not on the side of the UFC, because they know
Yes.
the
Yeah.
pay-per-view numbers that he does. If
Yes.
Henry Cejudo made headlines, look, the pay-per-view that he even retired that time, he was not the main event. He was a co-main eventer. So that's to tell you what they think about him. And when he said he's going, they're like, "Yeah, fine, just go, motherfucker." So, uh, sorry, who was the last person to go?
Toby.
I don't even know.
All
I
right,
think it was, yeah.
Toby, you're going next, right? Or is it me
No,
going?
I just went. I just went. I think it's you.
Right, Toby was the last person.
Okay, I am going to go with. I think that's everything from me. You guys go one each, and then we'll go through the bold predictions from Patreon. So you guys go one each. Demola, you go first.
Okay, I think. Okay, the next thing that I have here is Brandon Moreno regains the flyweight title in 2024.
Well, if there's any title that has been hot potatoed, this one, touch am, pass, give this one, touch am, ho, 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 take. It's the flyweight title. And, and that title, bro. Again, everybody that watches this podcast knows that I'm not a fan of the flyweight. It's not going to surprise me if Moreno wins the title again. To be honest, those guys are highly skillful and too quick for my eyes. Uh, I like things to be slowed down when the heavyweights are fighting. I don't want to be like, "Oh, what did he do there?" I want to be like, "Yeah, that's a straight right." I don't want to be like, "What happened there?" I don't want to wait for slow motions or replays. But anyways, I see that happening. Brandon Moreno
I had. I
is
had. I
capable of
had.
being
I,
champion again.
I had Manel Cap on my list winning next year,
Winning the
becoming
flyweight
champion.
title. Oh, wow. Well, one
Right.
good thing about flyweights is their quick turnaround. They are very quick to turn around after a fight. They turn around, unlike those heavy guys. So,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah,
so we
very
could likely get 3 title fights in next year of the flyweight. Hopefully, it's not two people going back
true.
and forth. All right, Dems, you go, and then we go to
Toby
Patreon, please.
was. I think Toby
I
was
haven't
meant
gone though.
to.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no, Oh, that was you. Okay, Toby, go.
No, I was just like so I just get it off the list like the Manuel Cup of flyweight. Okay, so the next one I have is pretty bold. Kabesa is going to win the PFL season next year.
Igeu Kabesa is
Yes.
hey. So Toby thinks that Igeu Kabesa will win the featherweight PFL series and win $1 million. That's
My
very
boy.
bold. So you think that his skill level, Igeu Kabesa, that is one of the goats of African MMA, you think that his skill level is up there for him to beat anybody in the world?
I think like anybody in the world right now in that weight class grappling, I think Ige can match anybody.
That's
Including
I
fair.
mean, we just saw
Alexander
him, including who?
Pantoja.
Nah. I mean, if you watch the fight with this guy, he just fought Exen fought Buba Jenkins, and we saw although the way that fight was, it wasn't really balanced because somebody needed something, the other person just needed to survive. But
Mm-hmm.
if you watch that fight and then you watch how Kabesa dominated Exen, like completely neutralized the jiu-jitsu guy, like on the floor, like owned him on the ground. Man, Kabesa is the shit.
Wait, Toby, where did you watch the fight?
Which one?
The EFC 110. I was looking for it
It's
online.
South
I couldn't
Africa.
find
No,
it.
they show it on DSTV. They show all UFC
Okay,
fights on
good.
DSTV.
All right. Dems, you've got anything to say about that before we go into Patreon predictions?
Okay, nothing. I think how many predictions do we have left? We have probably like 5 left. Yeah, we've got like 5 or 6 each.
Well, no. We're not going to do ours because we have 20 from Patreon.
Wow.
So I want us to.
Okay. Can we do a quick run through? Can we do a quick run through of ours that we have left then? Okay.
So hey, Demola wants to unleash his Bible right now.
Let me throw it down, right? Okay, so
He's going to throw his Bible right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Revelation.
I have Ilia Topuria wins a Vogue, and Max Holloway ends the year as the featherweight champion. At number 7, I have Francis.
Wait! You cannot go like that. So Ilia Topuria
wins Vogue.
beats Volkanovski, and then Max Holloway beats Ilia.
Yes, he ends.
You think Volk does not deserve a rematch?
Volk will get a rematch. Volk has to get a rematch.
If you take time off.
Okay, fine. Next one. No problem.
That will be back-to-back losses. So they will advise him to take time off, and your Max will come in and get his title. Yes.
Okay. Go next one.
That's what's gonna happen, right?
Number. We shall want to cook Volk versus Holloway 4, but continue.
Number 7 is Francis Ngannou never fights an MMA fight again, but he's involved in at least 2 boxing fights next year. Number 8 is PFL/Bellator MMA champ versus champ competition happens and new superstars will emerge. At number 9, I have Isola.
That is not a bold prediction now. That is an obvious statement that you just made with PFL and Bellator. But go, your last one.
Let's see. Isola Adesanya returns to MMA in the second half of 2024 and regains his title at the end of the year. And the final one here is Juliana Pena ends the year as the women's pound for pound number 1 and women's bantamweight champion.
Okay.
Pena.
Round of applause. Toby, you want to go?
I think I have only 2 left. Reug Reug becomes champion next year.
Next year where?
1.
Yeah, you have to say the phrase. Reug Reug becomes heavyweight champion in 1 championship. You cannot just be like. You have to.
Dude, I mean, it's fighting in 1, right?
Dude, we are a podcast and we are a media. We have to articulate properly because we have audio listeners, we have video watchers. We cannot just randomly say stuff and move on. You have to articulate properly. So now, go.
Rogue Rogue becomes a champion in one, beating what's the name of this guy, Malikin next year. So he becomes
Okay.
What
heavyweight
happened to
champion.
Anatoly? What happened to?
Yeah, that's how he'll beat Anatoly.
Okay, Anatoly. Okay. Hmm.
Good,
Anatoly
good.
Malikin, yeah.
Even yourself, as you talk, I'm like this. Did you not feel better? Eh?
I feel better to this guy.
Oh yeah, now next one.
uh, so the last one is
Tumbo
more
is
of
supporting you, by the way.
it's more of a prayer than a bold prediction, but
Prayer.
I
Yes.
there will be from heaven. God is going to send a female African MMA fighter that will dominate the UFC.
Hey, Baba, see, they use the word
Amen.
domination like that. But amen. Amen to that,
Amen.
brother. Amen. When we were putting together the list for African
Yeah, it was
female
difficult.
athletes of the
Very
year,
difficult.
it was a struggle. It was a struggle for us. But yeah, guys, watch out! The African Fighters Awards coming very soon. So many revelations in there. All right, guys, we are going to head to Patreon. All right. So some of the things that we have said has already been added in the Patreon. So we are just going to go quick through this 20 and then we'll just quickly take reactions. All right, the first one. Conor McGregor does not fight Michael Chandler in 2024. What's you think, Toby? Is this possible?
Predicting Conor is like, I don't know, UK weather, as people used to call it. I don't know, man. I don't know what Conor is going to do. I swear. I don't know. I really don't.
Demola, will it shock you that Conor McGregor will not fight Mike Chandler?
Surprise, surprise! The king is here. It's not surprising actually. Conor does whatever he wants to do. Uh, but I think he would honor that commitment. I like to think so. I like to see it. Like let the tough competition not go in vain. I like to think he would honor it.
Um, I don't know. Dana White mentioned that they have a very big fight coming next year, like his grandiose fight, and I kind of feel like it's going to involve Connor and not going to involve Mike Chandler. Just what I'm assuming is going to happen. But as Tumbo said, Chandler is praying just like Toby. He's praying.
For
He's,
the red panty
he's
night.
yes, he's praying for that fight. All right. The next one. Two African MMA champions signed with the UFC. Examples of those African MMA champions are Igeu Kabesa, champion in EFC, Losene Keita, champion in Octagon, and Demarte Pena, champion in RSFC. Two of these guys will sign with the UFC in 2024. I actually see this absolutely happening.
Amen.
I think it's about time Igeu leaves Africa. I think it's about time Demarte Pena. I think he has defended his RS title already. I think it's about time he moves up. I think Losene Keita is, when you watch him in Octagon, it's like man against boys. He fought just last night. Wicked man. So I think it's likely that this would happen. What do you guys think?
I like to see that happen. When you were saying that, I was saying amen literally to that, because I love to see that happen.
I think it's very likely. I think it's very likely that happened. Whether it's the UFC or the PFL, I don't know, but those guys are actually better than what they're fighting right now. So yeah.
Your Courageous Empire says Conor is not fighting Chandler. Conor is going to fight Dustin again for the trilogy or Nate for the trilogy. Those are options for Conor, to be honest. All right. Number 3 from Patreon, Christopher Graham. An active UFC fighter appears in an angle in WWE programming. Yes, of course.
Okay.
I'm here for this.
Your
I'm
people,
Okay.
This is why we are here. I'm here for this. This will
your
definitely happen. I see Conor McGregor being in an angle easily because it doesn't involve real fighting. Uh, Israel Adesanya, hopefully, if the crowd can recognize him. I don't know. I think we could also see WWE stars do crossover into UFC. So like we could see like a CM Punk now like show up in a pay-per-view and like maybe do something. give them title or something like that. Maybe if they fight in Chicago. Anyways, yeah, I see that happening as well. All right, number 4. Jon Jones retires without fighting Tom Aspinall.
100. 100.
Again, I'm going to say this. Jon Jones does not want to fight these youngins, man. These youngins are
If
hard.
you were Jon Jones, would you want to fight Tom Aspinall?
I don't want to be honest. I just want,
Exactly. There
well, I
you
would
go.
want paychecks, man. It's not like Jon Jones is struggling with money.
Exactly. So he will be
Yeah,
happy to keep his legacy intact.
yeah. Why is everybody thinking Jon Jones would never fight Tom? But, well, I know why. Because of how risky the fight is to his
High risk,
legacy
low
and his
reward.
career. Yeah, so Francis Ngannou does not have to fight an MMA fight. I think Toby Demola, you've mentioned this already. I think
Exactly.
Francis Ngannou is going to honor his PFL deal. I think he's going to fight a PFL fight, but they are going to go and look for a scrub for him to fight so he looks good. I don't think they're going to put him with a youngin because these young boys are hungry. They can spoil a show. So I think Francis Ngannou fights in MMA, but they are going to like do boxing style with that fight in the matchmaking and put somebody that is probably very old.
Okay, so quick
Uh,
one, quick one. What's the possibility of him fighting this guy that called him out, Impa Kasankanai?
Nah, he wouldn't want to fight. If he wants to fight an African, he will fight Reug Reug now. Reug Reug was calling for him. So I don't think it's realistic for Impact to actually fight in heavyweight. He feels he's big enough to fight in heavyweight, but this is somebody that was fighting in welterweight, bro. But you know something about weight cut in MMA? I think Impa is an example of what weight cut does to fighters. Like, what advantage do you really have when you cut weight?
Exactly. Like it drains you,
Yeah.
drains you. We've seen people move up in weight
Um.
and do better.
Uh. Well, we've got Green Tea with us today. Shout out Green Tea. Tumbosun says, "Oh, that's a 50-50." Courageous Empire says John will never fight Tom, and Courageous Empire says, "I don't think John's scared, but the fight does nothing for him." All right.
Exactly. High risk, low reward.
Bold prediction. This one is very funny. Francis Ngannou defeats Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, or Tyson Fury in a combat sports contest. Combat sports contest. So this bold prediction does not say boxing. It says combat sports contest. If they fight in anything that is not boxing, the top 3 heavyweights in boxing would lose to Francis Ngannou. The only way they beat Ngannou is they fight strictly boxing. And even that now, Ngannou has proved to us that he's not a
It's no
walkover.
pushover. Mhm.
Yes. So I think the names are too much. Yeah. I think here's the thing. I think Ngannou loses his next boxing fight. Because
Do not be pessimistic.
the next person that he's going to fight is going to take him very serious.
Very extremely seriously.
Yeah. All right. The Francis beats all in one night. Hey, courageous. Courageous, courageous.
It's
Um
courageous. It's truly courageous.
uh yeah, so next one, UFC Africa does not happen in 2024. I wouldn't be surprised. At this point, 2024 has already been booked up to March. It's even starting to enter April. So pretty much first quarter of 2024 is gone. Obviously, they do in the summer, they do that their international fight week. Around that time, they don't really travel too much. So if they are going to if they're going to leave the US, it's probably the third quarter and the fourth quarter of the year. Um, I'm not sure. uh we got knockout skill kings here. You mean the ref is going to mess him up again? Yeah, exactly. They're not gonna let him win. They're never gonna let an MMA guy win. So Yeah. So which one is it? UFC Africa would not happen in 2024. I'm not really optimistic this would happen.
Not
Although
surprised.
I've been predicting it's going to happen in Morocco or Egypt in UFC 300, but I'm not very optimistic. So this is not a surprise. The
So,
next
so the
one.
thing is, it will happen. It will happen on African soil, Morocco or Egypt, right? But then it's not going to be branded UFC Africa, mind you. It's UFC Arabia, Arab UFC.
Fair, fair. We've discussed about that. The next one is a new African nation has a fighter debut in the UFC. Now, to think about the African nations that have not debuted in the UFC, I think you can count more of the African fighters that have actually fought in the UFC. Have we seen a DRC fighter? Oh yes, Empower is DRC. Uh,
How about someone from
African
Senegal?
nation. Yeah, we
Senegal.
haven't seen anyone from Senegal, right? Yeah, so Senegal, yeah. Yeah, Senegal
They're
will
big
likely
on
be the next because
they're big on
they've got
loot
some killers
wrestling.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe Senegal or I'm still thinking. My head is going to the huge nations with big populations, but the issue is
And
this:
combat sports culture.
after Nigeria, the biggest population is Ethiopia, and those people don't fight. If it was running, then they will be in the front. But I think maybe Senegal is a good shout. We might likely see Senegal next. I'm not. And another thing you think about is like boxing. Which African country is high on boxing? I can't think of anything, bro. I can't think except Senegal. That's a good one. Senegal. Maybe Mali. Um,
Maybe Cape
next
Verde.
Cape Verde.
Yeah. They have
No,
really strong
they
guys
have a
from there.
they have a very small population, but they have a few Cape Verdeans in UAE Warrior Africa.
Yeah.
So
Very strong
so
guys.
maybe someone is gonna slip through again. Next, at least half of the UFC's 2024 pay-per-views takes place outside of the USA. All right, so there's this company called TKO. TKO is the umbrella company between WWE and UFC. And there's this brand of business that they do now, a new strategy that they do now in the WWE, where they make cities and countries bid to host WWE pay-per-views. I think it's a model that the UFC can steal from them and make sure that any country that they are going to put an event, that country has to bid to host that pay-per-view per se. So I think it's something that they'll probably look at and will tend to see more UFC cards in other international countries. Uh, the reason why I said this is like we saw the UFC when they came to UK, they went to Wales, they went to Cardiff to do an event in a stadium. The WWE, sorry, and they paid the UFC, the WWE to do that. They went to what's the name of this country where Bad Bunny is from? Philippine? Is that Philippine? No, no. Puerto Rico. Aha. They went to Puerto Rico, WWE, and they got paid by the Puerto Rico tourism. They are going to Abu Dhabi, and the Abu Dhabi they are getting paid. They are going to Saudi next year. They are going to get paid. So I think slowly, they are going to start doing this business model of getting countries and cities to bid
To
to
beat
host
to host.
the UFC pay per view, but that is going to be in the detriment for UFC Africa because no country in Africa is going to pay you to come. So,
Maybe,
well,
just maybe South Africa can do that.
they've got more plates, more things to fry, more things that concern them than to pay UFC to come. If UFC want to go, they will go. At some point, hey, this is a bold prediction. At some point in 2024, there will there will be zero American UFC champions. Wow. Okay,
Oh,
so
male
now
or
let's look at
female?
the let's say male, but this person says all of the UFC champions will be in, there will be no American. But let's look at the men first. Okay, I can only think of two American champions right now: Sean O'Malley and Jon Jones. Even Jon Jones, the interim champion, is from England. Sean O'Malley is under the risk of losing to Chito Vera, so that one, the America will go. Then it will be left with the heavyweights, where we've got Jon Jones and Miocic. That will still stay in America, even though Miocic is Croatian. But
Croatian
then Tom
America.
Aspinall, when Tom Aspinall unifies the title, then there will be no USA flag next to any champion. Damn.
Yeah, how about Kobe? Kobe Covington.
Well, if he beats Leon, I think Leon is going to beat Kobe. I've stopped convincing myself that Kobe will win. I think Leon beats him.
Let's wait and see. I'm on the
Yeah,
Kobe side of
I
things.
want Kobe. I want Kobe to win, to be honest, but I think Leon is gonna win. All right, next one. I think we already did this one. Rogue Rogue is going to be Erin Blanchfield. Do you know what that is?
Yeah,
Is that a
that's a
name?
female fighter.
That's a what?
That's a female fighter.
Oh, oh gosh. Hey, the casual in me just exposed here right now. I actually thought, because I saw the cheers emoji in front of there, I thought it was maybe a Dutch language of saying cheers.
No, she's a flyweight, female flyweight, and she's currently number
Oh,
2 on the flyweight rankings. Yeah.
okay. I think Green Tea is on about the non American champions from the female point of view, from the women fighters.
Oh,
So
okay.
if Blanchfield wins, they'll probably. So Blanchfield and Tatiana Suarez are both both Americans, and they are likely gonna win the title. To be honest, I'm not very knowledgeable with the women. I swear, I sometimes use it as my pee break. I'm so sorry.
No, you shouldn't do that. Gender equality is a thing. I follow
No,
everything,
bro, it's
and the women's fight can be really exciting if you sit down to it.
yeah. I watch the Wei Li Jiangs. I watch the
Right?
Shevchenkos.
Those
I
are top
watched
of those are top of
Amanda
the.
Nunez.
But the interesting thing, I'm a king of watching the prelims, and I can tell you for free that a lot of the fighters on the prelims are really hungry and tend to put up better shows than the more established fighters on the main card. So it's something to watch out for.
Sean will get leg kicked by big Ecuadorian shin.
I think Sean
That's
wins that fight. I think Sean wins that fight. He does win that fight. Cheeto doesn't get a better shot this time around. The last time it was a freak injury, and it will not repeat itself this time around.
Yeah, 2023, bro. Yes, I know it's 2023, but guys, even pro wrestling, bro, I watch pro wrestling, they bore me, man. But I am trying to be I'm very, very politically correct. I like to see, everybody here knows that I'm a big fan of the heavyweights. I like to see big power. I'm an African man. I'm not a big fan of the flyweights, not just the women, the flyweights too, because they don't knock each other out. Well, yeah. uh, oh yeah, Manon Fiorot is a bad kid. I saw her in EFC, so yeah. When she was in the EFC, she won a title. Next one. Oh, Nate Diaz returns to the UFC against Conor McGregor.
That's a possibility.
So
Very
Dana White
UFC
was talking
300.
in a press. Yo, that could happen.
Yeah,
In
UFC
Dana White was talking in a press conference that they've got a big fight coming next year, a marquee fight, but he's not going to say who. And to be honest, that's the first fight that came to my head. I thought Conor McGregor and Diaz 3 is probably gonna happen, and probably they'll fight in welterweight.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah.
Because here's something I guarantee you that will happen with UFC 300. There will be 0 title fights on UFC 300. No champion is going to fight. It's just going to be like dream matches, matchmaking, dream
Fun
matches sort of
matches.
situations. Like I feel like an Usman versus Whitaker is perfect for UFC 300, not the main event, obviously. I feel like a Conor McGregor Nate Diaz 3 is perfect to headline that. Um, I feel like a fight which comes at Chimaev for not for the title with anybody, maybe Paulo Costa, they still do that fight. Maybe that's something for UFC 300. Uh, yeah. So I don't think they'll put any title fights there because of obviously pay per view point situation and the business behind it and all that. So UFC 300 would likely get that Conor versus Nate Diaz. I don't know, but Nate is probably gonna ask for crazy money, and if it doesn't happen, that's probably why it didn't. Um, next, Kamzat Chimaev. Kamzat Chimaev loses a fight in 2024. Ah,
I said that.
I think Chimaev is one fight away from being figured out. Because every time he fights, there's a new tell. He's been telling. He fought Gilbert Burns, there was a tell. He fought Kamaru Usman, there was a tell. A lot of people are saying, oh, he broke his hand, hence why he couldn't do anything for the next 2 rounds. I think it's very, very possible Chimaev loses. Although we know that if he fights, if he fights in the next 6 months, then it's likely it's not going to be for the title. If he fights in the next, what am I trying to say? He's going to have surgery this week. I think he mentioned something about having surgery this week. After surgery, it takes a couple of months for you to heal up to get back in there. And at that point, the title would have maybe changed hands already. I'm not sure if he would still have that exclusivity to being that challenging for the title at that point. Um, and if he can come back before April, I think he's perfect for UFC 300 again. And I think he might actually lose in his next fight if he fights a wrestler. Well, we saw what he did to Usman, but Usman is a welterweight. But what do you think? I'm just going to be rambling if you don't talk. What do you think?
I said it already in my predictions. I see it's panning out this way. DDP wins the title against Strickland. Chimaev is next in line, and then Chimaev loses to Dricus. I do not see any planet in which Chimaev beats Dricus, to be very honest. 9 out of 10 times Dricus beats Chimaev.
Okay, that's a good take. Oh, that's a take. Kamzat should stay away from Kanane. Huh.
Yeah.
Say Kanone is a very, very hard puzzle.
Yeah, and he's big. He's quite big. He's big for.
Here is something that is exciting that I think is going to happen. Yeah, he came down from heavyweight, exactly. Here's something I think that could happen. Max Holloway wins the BMF title. I think this is another UFC 300 fight. Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway for the BMF title.
I don't know about that.
Well, Justin Gaethje is going to piss. He's going to kick Max's ass, wouldn't he?
I don't see how that happens because I think Gaethje beats up Holloway. Plus, I feel like Gaethje is organizing his last run for the title, so he doesn't
want any detour.
He doesn't want to be involved in fun fights. That the era of fun fights are over. It's now the time is now to build the legacy.
All right. Next one. I think I mentioned this already in the top of the show. UFC holds at least 5 European events this year. Next year, that is. There's Dublin, there's London in the UK, somewhere else in the UK, probably Manchester, whatever. There's France, and there's somewhere else in the UK. So I think the UK is going to have 3 events this year because of how the market is expanding. They keep on opening UFC gyms around. I don't know how they franchise those. Ireland is a cool place to go, but they would have to have like a very proper, solid Irish main eventer. But I don't think they have any at the moment because Conor is bigger than fighting there right now. London, I think London will probably get 1 or 2 shows this year, and I think some other city in the UK will get a show. I think they go back to Paris, and maybe maybe they go to Germany this time. The reason why I'm saying they go to Germany is because WWE are going to Germany. They're doing an event there in August. So I think the UFC being under the same company as WWE, they're probably gonna go and
We
do an
leverage on
event
it.
there as well. Yeah, the
That'll be
Mercedes-Benz
interesting
Arena
to see.
in Berlin. Huh?
That'll be interesting to see, really.
Yeah, yeah. There's a huge arena, the Mercedes-Benz Arena in Berlin. Crazy. All right. The next 3 new nations win championships in the UFC. Wait, isn't this? I think we've had one of these before. this one, this next one is crazy, man. He says Ronda Rousey or Brock Lesnar return to the UFC. I don't see any of that happening. There was rumors that Ronda
UFC
Rousey
300.
is going.
UFC
I don't
300.
know.
Maybe, you know,
No,
that card is going to be really stacked with, you know,
Brock
maybe,
isn't coming back.
maybe Rousey.
Well, we
Maybe Rousey. You never say never, you know. 300 is going to be really, really crazy. Like, that's why you see they have avoided, you know, making any announcements about it. Because, like you
all right.
rightly said, I don't think there'll be any title fights on that card.
Islam versus Justin. I think it's a matter of time. If Islam defeats the Brazilian guy, Charles, definitely Gaethje is a clear-cut #1 contender. He's just waiting. He's waiting to the point that people actually thought that Justin Gaethje is gonna be the headliner for Justin Gaethje, and Islam would headline Canada. Next, second to the last, Bellator champions go undefeated against PFL champions. So
Whoa.
this is something that is interesting for us to actually deliberate when the pay-per-view runs, when that event comes. Bellator versus PFL.
PFL.
A lot have been said about PFL being too soft, in the sense that UFC dropouts go there and steamroll the other fighters there. It's not always the case. But regardless, I kind of think Bellator has higher quality fighters, but I think this event is going to be very telling for us to actually see where that $1 million winners, $1 million winners are at. You know, it's going to be shameful, right? If Bellator steamroll all the PFL champions.
We can't wait. We can't wait to see. We can't wait to see. But then, you know, a lot of people tend not to give credit to the PFL winners, right? But trust me, I think when I was speaking with Rafian's thoughts the other time, right? We talked about PFL, Bellator, I think, right? And trust me, PFL is more difficult to win than UFC, Bellator, right? Because based on what this guy was saying, this guy who crossed over from the UFC, Sergio Pettis' elder brother, the Showtime.
Anthony Pettis?
Yeah, Anthony Pettis, right? He couldn't win the PFL competition because you are required to fight multiple fights within a very short period of time. And it is more difficult than the UFC where you have like enough time to recuperate. So kudos to those guys who win that competition for $1 million. It's not an easy feat. So I don't want to believe that, you know, they'll go, you know, a clean slate against the PFL guys. It will be a mix, but maybe you will have more Bellator winners than the PFL winners in a champ versus champ situation.
Courageous. Thanks, Thames. Courageous Empire says, I think Islam fights Justin in the UFC Fight Night in Saudi next year. Huh. Wait, are we sure of which month that Saudi show is going to happen? Is it in March? Can't remember. I think it's still going to be in Riyadh season, right? So it will likely be in March because Riyadh season ends in March. Courageous Empire says Islam doesn't want to fight Charles Oliveira. Can't remember seeing that. All right, the last one, which is the clickbait, thumbnail clickbait in our YouTube video. It says Dana White stops being UFC president next year. Boom. Because Dana has started taking his leg off the gas pedal recently, right? Oh, it's Sergio Pettis, not Anthony Pettis. We said we
Uh,
called him Antonio Pettis. Sergio Pettis.
it's Anthony is the elder brother. Sergio Pettis is the younger brother. Yeah, Anthony went to
No, wait,
PFL.
wait. Let's get back on
Sergio
track. Let's
Pettis
get
is
back on track.
Bellator. Yeah.
Let's get back on track. Dana White leaving the UFC presidency status or whatever. I think
How
he
possible?
can. I think he can relinquish some responsibilities, but
Yes.
I
But
don't.
who's going
I
to
don't
take over?
see how. I don't see it happening because, like, who is going to be the next Dana White? You know, who is going to be the person that is going to be talking in behalf of the company? Because, like, when UFC was sold, they kept him on board so he can be the face of the brand and all that. Uh, KO Kings thinks that it's not gonna happen. He thinks Dana will still be around. Um, Courageous Empire says never. It makes you think about someone like Vincent Kennedy McMahon. You guys know I like putting wrestling uh, references in there. So Vincent Kennedy McMahon recently got demoted to being like someone in the board member of the whole endeavor. He might see it as a demotion because he was heavily part of the WWE creative, but now he's like a board member of both UFC and WWE. So they took him away from making changes in the show because he's getting old school and he ruins the show. And something happened why he sold the company. He sold the company because he was in some saga that has to do with sex, that he had to leave the business and then he came back and then sold the business. So basically, what I'm trying to get at is Vincent Kennedy McMahon never would have left the WWE and where he was at until he was forced to by the law basically and by scrutiny by people. So I think Dana, who is a workaholic, who is somewhat like a Vincent Kennedy McMahon to UFC, what he is to WWE, I think Dana is gonna stick around until he literally cannot work anymore. um or maybe he gets in a big argument with the top brass of the company and he had to leave. But yeah, a lot of people agree with the sentiment. He says Courageous says Dana is going to die. UFC president. Knockout says, but he's old as fuck though, lol, and his bad history. They had to demote him before the cancel culture catches up to Vince. Exactly. They had to. I think Vince would have still stuck around with his old ways if they did not force him out of there. I'm pro wrestling fan, and I still think it's part of a storyline. Bro, it's not part of a storyline. It's on New York Times and every other news outlet. He brings bad. You know, he sold some of his stocks recently, and then the stock price crashed off TKO. Anyways, we are not going to jump down into that rabbit hole. There's a big discussion around WWE, and I think in this our podcast, I need to have like 5 or 10 minutes, make I rant about what's going on in the world of pro wrestling, because you know me, pro wrestling nerd. All right, guys. I think that's about it for our bold predictions. We went through almost 50 bold predictions today. Shout out Christopher Graham, and we are also supposed to have another segment, right? And I think I'm just going to go through it, guys, real quick with you guys. So this segment is I'm going to just give a shout to the fighters that fought, that won, African fighters that won recently. So first of all, we've got Ayub Tunsi, the Moroccan Ayub Tunsi. He defeated Ashley Kilvinston by decision in AFC, that's Almighty Fighting Championship, via split decision. So shout out to the Moroccan. And next we have Wasi Adesina from Nigeria. So Wasi Adesina defeated Henrik Madureira via KO in the featherweight division of Fight Club FCR, Fight Club Rush FCR, that is in Stockholm, Sweden. And next we've got Moha Jakdal. All right, Moha Jakdal is a Moroccan. He defeated Aslaida Badoev via submission, a guillotine choke in King of Fighters in France. All right, next we got Osama Rahim. Osama Rahim defeated Adel Khaldun via unanimous decision in the featherweight division. Next, we've got Nicolas Hwende. Nicolas Hwende from South Africa. He's from Zimbabwe, sorry. He defeated Akobirov via unanimous decision. This happened in Brave FC 77. That was last week. And then yesterday, oh, no, it wasn't yesterday, was it? A couple of days ago, Brave FC 78. We had Yabna Nchala from Guinea-Bissau. Yabna fought and beat Arlen Ribeiro. I'm sorry, guys, I'm botching these names. Via split decision. All right. And next, we've got Eliza Kubanza from the Democratic Republic of Congo. This was in Brave CF. This happened yesterday, I believe, or 2 days ago, actually. KO, amazing KO. If you have a chance to see, you should go see it. It's actually on Braves FC's Instagram page. And I think we're getting to the end of it. Last night we got Mark Holm from South Africa. He retained his welterweight title against Peace Ngufane. He won first round, rear naked choke. A lot of talk have been about Mark Holm going to the UFC. Also, a lot of talk about Igeu Kabesa, who defended his featherweight title against Ronaldo Exon from Brazil via a unanimous decision. Okay, yeah, so I believe that's it. Just caught you guys up with rounds of guys fighting, African fighters fighting recently. So yeah, shout out to them. Kingdoms, anything else you would want to put before we go?
Nothing really. I think I really enjoyed the bold predictions, right? And I hope to see
Yeah.
some of them come through in 2024.
Yeah,
And then
I want to have a lot of I told you so moments next year. Next year I'll be like, this, I called it. I want to have them I called you moments. All right, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Shout out to you guys in the live chat. No, KO Kings, Courageous Empire, Green Tea, Tumbo soon. All of them guys, man. Christopher Graham, really appreciate you guys spending some time with us today. And Toby, who has left and has not come back, he data don't probably finish. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your evening.